You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I
and
said.
Not because they are qualified. So are they qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they qualified or not?
Abby Phillip didn't hold back on her CNN show, and what we saw was nothing short of explosive. She squared off against two of MAGA's most loyal defenders, Hogan, Gidley, and Todd, and the entire debate revolved around this bizarre obsession with Charlie Kirk that's been bubbling up across the country. And let me tell you, this wasn't just another roundtable argument. This was Abby Phillip stepping into the arena and slicing straight through the spin that these guys tried to sell. The whole conversation made it clear. What's unfolding with Charlie Kirk isn't just about one man, it's about the bigger machinery of MAGA politics. Abby confronted the way Kirk is being propped up as a cultural warrior, while his defenders scramble to frame him as some unstoppable force. Hogan and Brad showed up ready with the same old talking points, but Abby wasn't buying it. And neither should we. So today, we're breaking down this showdown. We'll look at Abby Phillip's pushback, the MAGA defense tactics, and most importantly, what it all reveals about the state of politics in America right now. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one, because this is a debate you're definitely going to want to see broken down piece by piece.
Oklahoma tonight says it will require a Turning Point chapter at every high school in the state. That, of course, is the group that Charlie Kirk founded. The state superintendent, who you might be familiar with because he's no stranger to controversy, says that it's a move that's designed to fight the left.
We have seen the outpouring from parents, teachers, and students that want to be engaged in a meaningful work going on at Turning Point. For far too long, we have seen radical leftists with the teachers union dominate classrooms and push woke indoctrination on our kids. What we're going to continue to do is make sure that our kids understand American greatness, engage in civic dialogue, and have that open discussion. We will continue to do all that we can to make sure Oklahoma students have the best education possible.
And if that's not enough, here's what he wrote in a letter to parents. Whether your child attends a public school, private school, or is homeschooled, they now have the tools to start a chapter, make their voices heard. Our kids must get involved and active. Our fight starts now. Sochi, I don't even know where to begin, but this is real. This is actually happening in America.
Yeah, and it's scary. I mean, what happened to Charlie Kirk was a tragedy. And I actually take offense saying that the left wasn't speaking out, because I did, and so did a lot of other people, and Democrats did speak out that day and the days after. But I do not think that we should be forcing ideology on our children, especially in public schools. After the shooting of Gabby Giffords, we were not forcing ideology in Arizona about guns. You know, after Minnesota state legislator was killed and her husband was killed in their home by an anti-abortion activist, we weren't going into Minnesota schools and trying to promote abortion in those schools. So there are things that happen, and there are ways to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy. And I honestly think the best way to do that was what Erica Kirk was saying, was respect for the First Amendment, was things that Charlie lived by. This is not the respect for our public institutions and for First Amendment. This is forcing an ideology into our schools that I think is unacceptable.
Hogan?
Okay. Oklahoma itself, obviously a very conservative place. All 77 counties went for Donald Trump. They most likely will embrace at least parts of this. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, I think it can't be overstated the importance, the impact he's had on youth across this country. While I'm well aware that the left is going to be quite upset that students dare hear a different side of an issue as opposed to the leftist indoctrination they've been getting now in public schools for decades, thanks to the teachers unions, this is a fight that they will have at the local level, undoubtedly. I would imagine, just for the sheer balance of the whole thing, this will end up being just fine. And I think students that want to opt in will opt in. Students that won't want to opt in won't opt in, and they'll do their own thing. But there are plenty of places to have robust, open, honest debate. Starting them in high school is a great place for that to begin.
Can I just say, Hogan, just to boil things down, first of all, Do you agree or disagree with the decision to force every high school in Oklahoma to have a Turning Points USA chapter?
Well, it depends on what they already forced them to do now.
Okay, so unless they're forcing them to have a Democrats, of America chapter, I'm not aware of any mandate anywhere in this country to have a political organization on campus. You're okay with that?
Again, at the local level, I am. Whatever they decide to do, they can do. That's what the beauty of this republic is.
They're not deciding. Local jurisdictions aren't deciding. It is the state that is deciding for schools. And to be honest with you, I also take offense to this lefty ideology. Teachers are underpaid. They are doing the best job that they can do.
That's a non sequitur and it has nothing to do with anything.
Yes, it does.
No, it
You were
doesn't.
attacking
My mother
teachers.
was a public school teacher.
You were just saying
life.
leftist ideology coming from the teachers. The statement says
the teachers' unions, absolutely.
We just have to look at the teachers' unions' manifestos to see their
100%.
I'll answer your question. I don't think the state should mandate that there should be chapters of this or any other organization at schools. However, I do think local school boards should not be able to block it. Right now, first off, the organization is called Club America. That's the high school group. Their purpose is to promote free thinking and engage in grassroots activism. That's pretty good. It's a 501c3. It's a nonpartisan group. But, we see a lot of places where high schools are blocking organizations like the junior ROTC from coming in. We shouldn't have that either. Students should be able to organize in these good patriotic groups in their own schools, and where they can learn things and organize optionally.
I agree with that. I'm not aware. I don't know what the deal is with schools blocking ROTC, but I'm also not aware of any schools blocking the creation of Turning Point chapters. It's just, if students want to create a chapter, they can. Why on earth is the state getting involved in saying...
Mississippi, there's a controversy.
Abby Phillip absolutely nailed it here. And honestly, it's the exact point that needs to be hammered home. Think about it. If a group of students want to come together on their own and start a Turning Point chapter at their school, fine. That's their choice. Nobody's stopping them. But MAGA world takes it 10 steps further. They've built their entire identity around crying that so-called liberal ideology is being shoved down their throats. And yet, what do we see now? The most over-the-top, performative political theater imaginable surrounding Charlie Kirk. Take Oklahoma, for example. You've got Ryan Walters, the state superintendent, trying to force every single school to install a Turning Point chapter, whether students ask for it or not. Then on top of that, lawmakers are floating legislation that would mandate a Charlie Kirk statue at every university in the state. And just when you think it can't get more ridiculous, you hear about Congress discussing commemorative Charlie Kirk coins, 400,000 of them, silver dollars no less. Tell me that's not state-sponsored hero worship. And here's where the comparison becomes laughable. They're elevating Kirk like he's Martin Luther King Jr. The difference? When Dr. King was assassinated, the entire nation knew who he was. His work transformed the course of history. Charlie Kirk? Most Americans didn't even know his name until media elites decided to make him into a martyr. He wasn't a soldier, he didn't discover a cure, he didn't save lives. He was a political podcaster who built a brand on stirring outrage and talking into a microphone. That doesn't make you a national hero. This is what Abby Phillip was calling out. The forced reverence, the overblown myth-making, the demand that the whole country bow down to someone most people never followed in the first place. Meanwhile, Hogan, Gidley, and Brad Todd sit there trying to spin it into some noble crusade, all while recycling the same tired excuse. Blame the teachers' unions. But let's be real. Teachers aren't indoctrinating kids. They're just trying to get them through math, science, and English class. At the end of the day, this isn't about education. It isn't about freedom. And it certainly isn't about fairness. It's about turning Charlie Kirk into an icon that he never earned the right to be. And that, my friends, is how you know the country has lost its grip on reality.
Its mind.
Here right now that they may have tried to block a creation of.
Okay, well, we'll look at...
The school board, the local education association.
Well, look.
That's in the press in Mississippi.
Look, let me read this line again. Our kids must get involved and active. Our fight starts now. What fight? What is he talking about?
Let's pause here, because this is exactly the point Abby Phillip was hammering when she mentioned that the fight starts now mantra. Ryan Walters, the same official pushing Turning Point into public schools, has built his entire persona on railing against the so-called woke left. He's not framing this as a debate about ideas or policies. He's framing it as an all-out war, a moral crusade where his side is righteous and everyone else is the enemy. That's not civic disagreement. That's a full-blown culture war narrative being marketed to parents and kids. And that's the insanity Abby was pointing to. This isn't about, hey, we have different opinions, let's discuss them. This is about manufacturing a battlefield where every school, every library, every classroom becomes a front line in a political struggle. Walters and his allies present Charlie Kirk as some kind of soldier in that struggle, a victim of the enemy, and use his story to galvanize their base. It gets even stranger when you zoom out. Take the story Megyn Kelly pushed about Charlie Kirk and his wife believing they were cursed the night before his death. According to her video, they even called in a friend, maybe a Catholic priest, to try and lift that supposed curse. Think about that. This is the movement that claims to be about facts, common sense, and rational thinking, yet it's trafficking in stories about hexes, demons, and spiritual warfare. This is what Abby Phillip was exposing. The same people lecturing the country about logic and reason are turning around and promoting superstition, paranoia, and literal demon talk as political fuel. It's not just inconsistent, it's a window into how far removed from reality parts of the MAGA base have drifted. And instead of acknowledging that, leaders like Walters double down and call it the fight. That's not leadership. That's fear-mongering dressed up as patriotism.
Teaching in public schools. Nowhere have I ever seen anything like this taking place short of what happened post-Civil War. What is going on in this country today is exactly what went on after Reconstruction in this country. And that is what is being attempted here. On January 6th, I knew exactly what was taking place. And I started writing a book about it that is going to be released on November 11th. Now, you probably ain't going to like the book because it's factual.
Will you sign it if I buy one?
Yeah, it's a factual book. It goes into exactly what was happening on January 6th. It goes into exactly what Project 2025 is all about. Read the part on Project 2025 on education and see what's there. It is exactly what they're doing in Oklahoma today. And they're getting their instructions from somewhere up here, and this superintendent is carrying them out.
The Ryan Walters, I mean, he's been quite a character this year. He's also been investigating Oklahoma school districts for allegedly not honoring Charlie Kirk's death. I guess some of what's my question is about all of this is, are we just, or not we, are conservatives just suddenly okay with a state superintendent or anybody dictating how people should feel, what schools should honor, what clubs should exist, what clubs should not? I mean, is that just part of the
you have one
ideology
elected
now?
official who is responsive to the primary voters of one state here. So let's don't put Ryan Walters' opinion onto everybody else. I'll tell you one thing we do know, though, is that when Melissa Hortman, the Speaker of the Minnesota legislature, was shot, there was a commemorative resolution in the Congress, and every Republican voted for it.
Right.
When Charlie Kirk was assassinated for his political beliefs, there were 58 Democrats who would not vote for a resolution to honor him. So
And I was one of them.
Why do you think it was?
I don't mind honoring anybody's life. I've got a problem with their legacy. And I know what the legacy of Kirk was. When I turn on my TV and I see someone telling me what an awful person Martin Luther King Jr. was, when I see somebody telling me if I get on an airplane and there's a black pilot, I begin to wonder, is he qualified? What does that mean? Those are the words that came out of his mouth.
That's not what he said. And
That's exactly what he said. I got the exact quote.
It's not in context at all what he was talking about. It was a conversation about affirmative action. You know that, Congressman. This has been well litigated and well debated.
Everything about black people is about affirmative action.
Saying that.
And so what's wrong with affirmative action?
No.
Look, are you telling me that when I came out of college and couldn't get a job, that was because I was not qualified?
That's not what I'm saying.
But what are you saying?
What I'm saying is Charlie Kirk was very clear. If these companies openly say that they have to somehow fill a quota of people, whether it be a race or gender, not based on merit, but based on their race or gender, the obvious should be clear to everyone, which is that person then qualified?
So
that's
just
an obvious question. Because of the bar that the corporation itself set up by saying publicly, we're going to do this type of DEI hiring, then you have to wonder, is it because of their race or their gender?
Can I just that's not what it is.
Hold on a second. That's not what it is. Hogan, why would you have to wonder? Why would you have to wonder that? The only reason you would wonder that is if you're inclined to believe that nobody can be qualified if they are black and brown going into those roles. But here's one other thing that I think is just a factual dispute with what you're describing. You're suggesting that the standards are lower for people of color filling these roles when there is absolutely
the exact opposite.
No evidence.
The exact opposite.
No, but that's what you said.
No, it isn't.
Hold on, Hogan. You said that they are only getting these jobs because of their race or gender.
That's not what I said.
And not because they are qualified.
Not
so are they qualified or not?
That's not what I said.
Are they qualified or not?
What I said was
is a pilot sitting in a hold on, Hogan, is a pilot sitting on an airplane, flying a plane, whether he's black or white or a woman or gay or lesbian, if they are sitting in that seat and they meet the FAA requirements for being in that seat, are they qualified?
If they are qualified, I sure hope so.
But you don't believe that they're qualified
because of what? That's not what I said. What I said was if the criteria was their race or gender, then how am I to know that the qualification is there?
That is a factual error that you are making.
We had a president of the United States,
Hogan, I don't want you to,
who came out and said
he wanted
I don't want you to change the subject because you are making to be the vice president. So when I noticed that that's what he said, that's not my fault. Joe Biden said it.
You were in the White House when Donald Trump said he was going to put a woman on the Supreme Court, and then he picked Amy Coney Barrett. Is she not qualified?
She is extremely qualified.
Okay, so why is she qualified, but Ketanji Brown Jackson is not?
He talked about the qualification as well. What I'm saying is, in that clear directive from Joe Biden, in the clear directive from those companies, they are saying we are filling the quota.
Let me ask. I'm going to ask you again because I think you have another opportunity to really think this through. Donald Trump said, "I am going to pick a woman to go on the Supreme Court." Oh, you know what? Let me give you another one.
So should he not have
George H.W. Bush said, "I am going to pick I'm going to pick a black man to fill a role on the Supreme Court." Are those people unqualified?
I want always the most qualified people to hold those jobs.
Are they qualified or not?
It depends on their qualification.
Was it a quota or not?
It's always a quota when you base it on race or gender. If you base it on qualification, if the person is hired as black or a woman or whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me just ask you a direct question. It's the ultimate meritocracy. Is it okay for
Donald Trump to have DEI quotas or not?
It's not okay for anyone to have DEI quotas.
So then why did he have a DEI quota, by your definition, for Amy Coney Barrett?
He didn't. He said that was one of the selections. People said he should fill it with a woman.
Okay. He said he was going to fill it with a woman, and he did.
He did not only interview women for the job.
Correct.
Okay.
This all started. We were talking about
I got 12 of his quotes right here.
Whether or not Democrats should have voted to honor Charlie Kirk's life. And Congressman, I respect you. You are a living legend. I deeply respect your motives. However, I think that this is a question of whether we honor people who gave their life to public service. I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything, but he gave his life to public service.
I'll let you have the last word on this. Go ahead.
But let me just say this. His life is one thing. His legacy is another. Now, I honor everybody's life. But when you tell me that was a diversity hire, when you tell me you're going to give thought to whether or not a black pilot is qualified, something else is going on in your head, and that's a legacy that I will never vote to honor. So if they're taking legacy off, which we asked them to do, and just honor his life, you got my vote. But his legacy, I know what my father's inherited from the legacy of the South.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for that discussion.
What really stands out in this whole debate is the way MAGA defenders tie themselves in knots, trying to clean up Charlie Kirk's record. Every time he gets quoted, you hear the same routine. Oh, he didn't mean it like that. What he really meant was this. It's excuse after excuse, like a PR machine working overtime. And honestly, if a person's words need that much spin and reinterpretation just to be palatable, then maybe that's the first sign they don't deserve statues, coins, or chapters in every school. Because let's be clear, yes, it's sad when anyone dies, and people are free to mourn however they want, but grief doesn't magically erase a record of controversy. Charlie Kirk made his name picking fights with college kids, not by achieving anything truly heroic. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a scientist, he wasn't a civil rights leader. He was a provocateur, and sometimes a reckless one, who thrived on inflammatory rhetoric. To now demand that he be elevated to the level of national honor is pure political theater. Just look at what's happening in Oklahoma. If students want to voluntarily form a Turning Point chapter, that's their right. Nobody's arguing against that. But forcing schools to adopt them through legislation, forcing universities to put up statues of Charlie Kirk, pushing for commemorative coins with his face on them, that's not honoring someone. That's manufacturing heroism out of thin air and forcing it down the throats of people who never signed up for it. And the irony is glaring. Republicans are lecturing everyone else about patriotism and freedom of speech, yet when people say they don't want Kirk glorified, suddenly those dissenters are labeled un-American or accused of hating free speech. It's the most performative culture war tactic imaginable. Manufactured outrage, packaged and sold as a national cause. Abby Phillip was right to cut through the noise. Why should Oklahoma schools, or anyone else for that matter, be compelled to honor Charlie Kirk? He had nothing to do with their history, their progress, or their communities. The only reason this is happening is because MAGA figures see an opportunity to build another symbol for their movement, whether the country wants it or not. And the hypocrisy doesn't end there. Conservatives are quick to shout, "What about George Floyd?" But where are the mandatory George Floyd statues on college campuses? Where are the state laws requiring George Floyd clubs at every school? Where are the commemorative government-issued coins? They don't exist. The comparison falls apart instantly, yet MAGA leans on it because their argument is hollow. At the end of the day, this push to sanctify Charlie Kirk is exactly what Abby Phillip exposed. A performance. A stage play dressed up as patriotism. And the truth is, most Americans didn't even know who Kirk was until a few weeks ago. To now be told he's a national hero is not just dishonest. It's insulting to the people who actually built this country with real sacrifice. So here's the question I'll leave with you. Do you side with Abby Phillip, who exposed the absurdity of forcing Charlie Kirk into hero status? Or do you side with the MAGA defenders, twisting themselves into knots to justify statues, coins, and mandatory school chapters? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed for more sharp breakdowns like this.